So now I'm going to take you through the basics of our landscape editing tools, our foliage editor, and how to get some atmospheric fog going in our level. So I'll start off by deleting one of our walls so we can look out onto our landscape. And I'm now going to scale these two walls back, just so we get some more outlook from our little undercropping here, which we've made to test our flashlight and our sort of moody lighting. Cool. So what we're going to first of all do is go to the top left here and hit landscape. And you can see it's giving us a preview of what it's going to give us. So let's just go to fill world to give us a massive landscape. And let's just leave that all default and hit create. Perfect. So you can see we've got no material on the ground here. Now what we want to be doing is creating a sort of custom material which will enable us to do things like draw rocks, draw grass, things like that. But for now, let's just start with a really flat, kind of boring, grassy, dirty material. So let's just scroll down in our landscape here to our landscape material. Let's go to our starter content, materials, and let's pick something like ground gravel maybe. And we'll just give that a bit of time to compile. It's looking alright. Let's just have a look what that looks like in game. Honestly, that'll do for now. We've at least got a nice sort of dirty looking ground. So let's get into sculpting it. So now if we reselect our landscape tool here and go to sculpt and just hold left click, we can see we're sculpting some nice mountains here. You can just sort of have a nice play around with that. If you want to be going down like this, you can hold shift to create some nice valleys. And if you want to sort of, I guess, undo your work or smooth things out, go to the smooth tool here, just to level it out a little bit if you've gone a little bit too intense. So let's just create a basic sort of valley here. So let's do something like this. Let's go to sculpt and get our rough shape going. Okay, and make some nice big valleys. And here's where I was saying that is a good opportunity to adjust our camera speed to something like 6. Let's just adjust that like that. And this is really, really, really rough. But it's just to get at least something going. And we might add a bit of noise here. And just to make it a bit nicer, let's press the square bracket to make it larger and smaller. Let's make a couple more little inserts here. And let's go ahead and flatten those a little bit. It's a bit too much. Let's turn that tool strength down. Make some nice flat areas. Flatten this out a little bit. Perfect. And that's looking sort of how I want, just a sort of basic rough space to get us going. So we can do something like maybe let's delete these rock nodes. Let's go to our third person blueprints folder. Let's maybe put a couple of these stone, rather iron ore nodes up on this little hill here. Let's just duplicate them, remember holding Alt. Perfect. And if we now head over there, let me actually just pick up this speed so we can get there quicker. Let's head up here, and now we can start harvesting our iron ore. Perfect. And now that we've got this region set up, we might have some trees over here. It's really just sort of our play space for now, but it gives you that sort of idea. What we might do is just play around with our foliage editor as well. We'll just use our default starter content foliage for now. Obviously you can import your own custom models and do the exact same thing. But let's start placing some of these bushes here, which if we double click look quite nice. So let's just drag this static mesh of a bush into our foliage editor. And if we just start dragging that around, you can see it's placing quite a lot of bushes, which is nice. If we go in here, we've got quite a large expanse of bushes. But let's say we want something a bit less intense. Let's just first click on our bush and adjust this density here. So let's make it something more like 15. What we're also going to do is adjust the scale. So you can see here they're all the same size. We want to make them sort of a bit random. So let's go, the minimum scale they can be is 0.4, but the maximum they can be is 1.4. So now if we place them down, we can see we've got some small baby bushes and some quite large bushes. So I'm just undoing that. If I just place some foliage up around these rocks, once again using the square bracket to make it larger or smaller, and let's just place some foliage here. Perfect. Maybe let's place some up here, up along here, and maybe a little sort of cluster coming along here. Great. We're making do just with what we've got in our starter content, but it just gives you an example of what we can do. Now let's say you had some other meshes in here. Let's uncheck this and drag in this rock, for example. Let's say we wanted to add a couple boulders here and there. So obviously not that many. Let's just add density. Maybe let's go 3. And let's go to our scale and let's go 0.2 and maybe 0.4. Let's actually make that 0.1. And if we give that a go now, up near our stone node, since it is our sort of rocky region, I guess, we can see we've got a pretty good selection of small and large rocks, and you can really play with the values here. Adjust the density, adjust the scale, it's really up to you. Nice, nice, that's looking alright. And let's just hit play, and now we've got a bit more of a populated game environment, which is obviously looking very much bare, because we're using our standard assets. But now we've got our iron ore here, let's just harvest it once again. And you can see there's a lot more sort of resonance of the space now that we've got sort of mountains looming over us. Let's maybe add just a couple more things. Let's go over here to our visual effects tab and let's add an exponential height fog. You can see it's added some nice fog in the distance there. Let's maybe just adjust that color to something like a kind of dusky, kind of orange type look. Let's make that a bit more dense just so that you can really see that effect. You can adjust the fall off, the opacity. This is really, you've got to just play with the variables for your project. Maybe let's just leave that at the default. And while we're at it, we can actually adjust the sun's angle if we'd like. So if we go over to our directional light in our level, or we can search in this bar light for our light source, we can see the angle that the sun is coming down. Now let's say we wanted a bit more sort of dynamic looking shadows. So let's just grab that rotation and rotate it now so we've got some really nice long shadows going on our plants and on our environment, which is looking quite cool there. So yeah, now we've got a basic sort of landscape going. We've got our different objects within the level. We've got a nice sort of dusky looking sun. I guess the only thing left is to build our lighting. If we just hit build here, and that's it. You've got all you need in order to make a basic landscape.